能够从来不许愿，我只会把歌词再念几遍，Real hip hop 带你体验。老板上班，把歌当蛤蟆片，一话三件，一话三件，打群架，开大车。这是女孩站起来的时代，好戏啊！你不用漂亮，虽然眼睛很漂亮，我随时准备好一下。Please try me, turn up, got my stuck on the rock, I'm a puller on your block, my stay burn up， 离开家去流浪，爬再高也不会往前。都是朋友你没见过，说一句实在的话，像我这样的人值得被骗。
And that was Chinese rap. So that's what my paper was about. It was about Chinese rap and how it is used as a form of self-expression or deviant self-expression. So for this video, I guess I'll go over the background of Chinese rap, some rappers that are very significant within the subject of self-expression and deviance. The rappers that I'll be using are IN3. Guy is spelled GAI, all uppercase, and the Higher Brothers, which is actually a rap group or rap band, if you would call it that. And then I'll go into their clothing and style, and I'll follow up with more theoretical things of what the difference between American and Chinese rap is, because they experience different issues within China that we don't, such as the need for expression and censorship. And then I'll finish it off with theoretical applications to this, which I'll be using is Richard Quinney's control theory and writing by Shelley Vermillion on how she explains how powerful autobiographies can be for marginalized people, which is very prevalent in China, which you will see why. And then the fun part of this is I'll be sort of analyzing some Chinese rap music videos, and some of them are actually have English subtitles, and they use English within their raps, which is very unique to hear, and also just shows how pervasive English is across the world, which is pretty interesting. All right, now with the background in Chinese rap. So Chinese rap emerged similar to the punk scene in China, which I actually did a paper on last year. It started with the 1978 open door policy, which allowed foreign music to enter China through this policy. Also allowed for more open economic opportunities, opening China up to the world, basically. What many people don't know is that China historically has been relatively closed off from the West. This is why we conceptualize norms differently compared to the East in general. So it wasn't until 1990 that hip hop really started to take place in the form of CD tapes. These tapes would be played in clubs, or people would have them and play them for themselves. And what's funny is that these CD tapes were meant to be destroyed, but they ended up on the black market. So this is where Western music began to influence Chinese musicians to produce punk rock and rap. Those who really sent in action were Hong Kong rappers in the 2000s under Scream Records, a punk label, which was kind of interesting. So when Chinese rap really took off was when it started on the Rap of China, which is actually what we're looking at right now. It's actually was a TV show that I think is still going on that highlights different rappers and their music. It really started with rap battles, and they contained controversial lyrics which got them in trouble. So in 2015, the Ministry of Culture, which is in charge of all the media in China, placed 120 songs on a blacklist, meaning this music's bad, you can't listen to it, and it was basically banned. However, this got turned around on them. Um, in the long run, it worked for China, but it got turned around on them where these songs were downloaded and kept because it's interesting. I want to listen to this music. But what ended up happening is that the music that was blacklisted was addressing social issues such as inequality going around in China and subjects that were deemed socially immoral. One of the groups, IN3, which I'll put up on the video. I don't know their names. I couldn't find out much about them. One guy with dreads and one guy with an afro. It's pretty unique. So IN3 thanked them for being introduced to underground rap. So then this is where the underground rap movement comes about, but it then becomes mainstream again, where these rappers sort of have to like either stay underground or comply with Chinese Chinese values and their norms to be able to become mainstream. This is actually seen with Guy, who I'll go over right now with. Okay, so this is Guy. You can see his tattoos, which is something I'll be talking about. Spelled Gai again. And his name now he goes by Guy Joyan, which is his name. So Guy started like a bunch of these rappers on the Rapid China, and he got kicked off eventually because of his tattoos. Um, it was very sudden, where the state administration announced that anyone with tattoos cannot be in the media, and the media cannot support rap culture as well. So Guy started his career singing about his experience in the Chinese mafia. There's actually a line talking about how he killed some guy, or no, he beat a guy pretty badly. This sort of demonstrates like the realness of Face, kind of legitimizing himself as a rapper, similar to how rappers in America sing about crime and drugs, giving them credibility. Obviously, these go against the morals in Chinese society. Um, in I use a specific article that looks into Guy's music, how he changed from underground to mainstream. And they looked at 7 of his music videos and found that he started singing off about crime and inequality, and now he's moved to more nationalistic themes, being patriotic and using Chinese culture in his music. And listening in his if you listen to his music, you'll notice a difference in just the tone of his voice, and it's like I want to say it's it's still rap, but his older music sounds angrier compared to his newer music, if that makes sense. So now we'll move into clothing and style, where I'll get to talk about more Chinese rappers and less about their music and more about their style, but still about their style of music and how they rap. Okay, so on to the rapper's style and aesthetics. So I've inputted some rappers in here that you'll see with their clothing, and it's actually very similar to West, but with like a sort of like a Chinese like aesthetic inputted as well. Um, so in my opinion, I'm sort of I really like this. I didn't think it would be necessary to add in the paper as it'd be too irrelevant, but I'm kind of thinking about like the artist privilege where like artists can like have tattoos on their neck and face and like wear all these like sort of like eccentric clothing and get away with it because they're artists. And it's interesting how they can do this in China, I think, as well. Um, so you can see that they're obviously heavily influenced by Western media, but with the Chinese elements. And I'll input one of the rappers, Bridge, who wears goggles. So I think most of the people here know what clout goggles are, but for those who don't know, like Professor Herodic, clout goggles are like a certain type of sunglasses that they're just adopted by rappers. I think the first person to wear it is Kurt Cobain, before they were clout goggles, and they just adopted that to their style and used it. Um, yeah, so you can see they're like heavily tattooed. A lot of them have tattoos on their neck, not so much on the face, but neck tattoos, chest, arms. So now going into their more specific like style of music. Um, a lot of them are heavily influenced by American rappers, especially the Higher Brothers, who have actually a very big American following. And I didn't learn this until recently, doing more research for my presentation. That their manager is a part of 88 Rising. For those who don't know, that is, it's basically a record group focused on specifically having Asian artists to produce music. If you don't know who Joji is, he's actually a very famous artist who started out as a YouTuber and now is with 88 Rising. So you have the Higher Brothers, who have this very strong American influence, and they adopt that and put their own Chinese style to it, using Chinese language but also American language as well. And you'll hear this in when I go over the analyzation of their music. I think the High Brothers are really the most accessible Chinese rap group there is, or rap in general, really. There are others, but they're not as accessible because they there's just strictly in Chinese. There might be the occasional English phrase or something like that, but it's really strictly in Chinese. How the High Brothers, they really integrate English and Chinese. I mean, still primarily Chinese, but like you can enjoy it without knowing any bit of Chinese. So I think that's really good in this light, where it opens China up to more like integration with the West. And yes, I forgot to mention this. These are actually the Higher Brothers. So what I was trying to get at in that previous section with their clothing and aesthetic is that there is a need for expression in China. Um, in China today, there's large sentiments of frustration among youths and young adult, specifically young males. Um, I used an article completely unrelated to rap about song subculture, which is basically song translates to um, loss or a funeral, and it's basically kids or teenagers, young adults, memeing themes of like loss, suicide, or defeatism, and it's actually not very unique to them. It's pretty common in the West, I think, where people will joke about suicide, specifically Gen Z will joke about suicide and stuff like that. And the researchers attributed this to kids not being able to meet their parents' expectations. Um, and then the other part of that is the sex ratio in China is um, 118 male to 100 females. So if you think about that in the large scale of 90 billion or however the population of China is, it's a lot of single men. And with that comes feelings of disparity and sexually frustrated men. So there's a need for other forms of self-expression other than crime. And there's actually a 2006 study um, that showed that single men being on the prone to the rise of violence and antisocial behavior. So rap is a semi-positive outlet to express oneself or to get a sort of detachment from society to listen to this music and actually like escape, because it's like a deviant lifestyle that you wouldn't normally associate with. And because this has gained popularity with teenagers, it's becoming more scrutinized by the Chinese government. But on the other hand, the Chinese government is using it as propaganda and censoring the rap they don't like. So I wrote a section on censorship. It's pretty short. Obviously, that there's rap being censored, and blacklisting is being backfired. But and it really affects how the rappers like act and what music they write. And I couldn't find any evidence of it, but I assume there's different media that they'll post outside of China that they'll post inside China just because of the censorship laws in China. Okay, now on to the theoretical stuff. So I started with Richard Quinney's conflict theory. Basically, what that is that those in power define what is considered criminal, and they use that to suppress the lower class and stay in power. Um, Quinney states that images develop about the relevance of crime, defenders' characteristics, the appropriate reaction to crime, and the relation of crime to social order. Um, so then, in comparison, why wouldn't someone conform to China's norms if they're just going to keep getting suppressed by the elites? Vermilia, she writes about how powerful autobiographies can be, or music, for marginalized people. She starts with silence equals death and explains that it can kill curiosity and the desire to learn. It can lead to the death of the mind. So, writing about one's problems or inequality in the country, that's a form of memoir, or that you can put in music, and it is a form of self-expression, and it gives people something they can identify with, which is why it's deviant to China, because they don't want to promote this sort of activity of anti-nationalism. And now I will move into the sort of analyzation of um, the music videos. I'll use a lot of Higher Brothers because they do have English subtitles, but not just Higher Brothers. I found one female rapper, but just think about like what could be considered deviant, or even in America, of what would be considered deviant. Going over these videos. So I'm just gonna try to spend like 5-6 minutes, go over the videos as much as I can, but like just try and look at it and like what you think. I'm gonna skip here. Like, you notice her style. I mean, something similar to what another rapper in the West would wear. Um, looks like a Kiss logo, but I can't really tell. So I just found out about her. Gem, I think her name is. It's very unique to find a female Chinese rapper. I think there's about 3 or 4 that I know about, but other than that, there's not really many. But you can tell like a very like unique style where it's like a combination of rap and like sort of like Chinese elements. Like there's instruments that they use. It's another female rapper. This has a lot of Chinese cultural things in it. I'm not really sure what they're called, but you can definitely tell like it has a lot of Chinese elements within the music video. I think that's the Gobi Desert. I know the Higher Brothers filmed in that same area. You can tell it looks exactly the same. So I'm pretty sure it's the Gobi Desert. The title is Wo de Xin Fu, which translates to my new clothes, but it's really like my new drip, my new swag. So this is one of Guy's music videos that got a lot of negative attention. You can see there's like a lot of crime. I actually played this in the beginning of the video, but this is all I wanted to show. Honestly, the song's not too good. It's very, yeah. Okay. So real quick, this is gonna be like a few seconds. All I wanted to know is the McDonald's sponsorship. Like Chinese, the socialist society, but the capitalist economy, combining with McDonald's, like a big corporation. I just think that's interesting. This one, I think this is like a perfect video to explain like shows deviance. American money. It does the entire song is about money laundering in like a sweatshop or a laundry, not a sweatshop, but like a laundry center. So I'll skip a little bit. They're talking about agents. They're literally talking about like mobsters, basically. Right there, just covered in tattoos. Like even in America, still today, that would be considered deviant. They're like literally ironing money, like laundering money. So this is the High Brothers. Before that, they were the High Brothers, but kind of like separate, broken up. They're still like together, but they because they lost the '88 Rising label. But this is probably one of their more famous music videos, and there is like a translation. Yeah, so this is actually one of the videos they got very popular off of. I think just like they like take the Chinese like culture and like build with that upon rap, and it's like they make it their own. Really, they own it, and like most of it is in Chinese, but I think people can resonate with it and really like enjoy it. Like, yeah, made in China.